There are many reasons to eat breakfast. Let's talk about them. Hi, I'm your friendly neighborhood dietitian. I want to talk to you today about why you should never skip breakfast. And I am going to give you science-based reasons so you can understand why this is important. We're going to start off by talking about how skipping breakfast affects your metabolism. Breakfast literally means breaking your fast. When you sleep, you are in a fasted state. You're not eating. Therefore, your body goes into a conserving mode, so it tries to conserve energy and it slows down the metabolism. It slows down the breakdown of body fat for energy. And then, when you have breakfast, you break that fast. That jump starts your metabolism. So now, you're re-giving the body fuel, and the body will go into a more of an energy-spending mode. So now, we're retaking these little switches within our body, and we're re-flipping them on and off, based on whether or not we have food in our system. So those switches control things like hunger hormones, how full we feel, energy expenditure, and even the way that we process the food that we eat. So it really helps if we don't keep our body in that fasting mode for too long, because it puts our metabolism out of whack. Now, in one study, researchers found that people who regularly skipped breakfast had a slower overall metabolism than those who ate breakfast every day. The group that ate breakfast had a higher resting metabolic rate. They also burned more calories throughout the day. Researchers suggested that eating breakfast may help to boost the number of calories you burn at rest. So not only does breakfast turn on those switches and get our metabolism working, but there are some studies that show that just eating breakfast alone may be enough to increase the number of calories that you burn. And ultimately, that can help with weight management. No, too, is that eating breakfast can improve your concentration. Many of us tend to get hungry around midnight, and sometimes we even feel like we're re-getting a little bit grumpy. That is because our blood sugar tends to dip in the morning. In fact, in one study, researchers assessed the impact of breakfast consumption on cognitive performance, and they found that those who ate breakfast performed better on tests of attention and concentration compared to those who did not. So when you eat breakfast, you're stabilizing that blood sugar, which improves your mood and it helps you concentrate. I think we all know how difficult it is to concentrate when we're hungry. And so if you're trying to get work done, or maybe you have school in the morning, eating breakfast can definitely help. So no. 3 is that eating breakfast can stabilize your blood sugar. We touched on this earlier when we talked about how eating breakfast can help your concentration. But I really wanted to expand on this point because eating breakfast can have a huge impact on blood sugar regulation, especially for people with diabetes. So there was a study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition that followed over 400 adults with type 2 diabetes. The participants were randomly assigned to consume either a high-protein breakfast, a high-carbohydrate breakfast, or no breakfast at all. Now, the researchers found that those who ate a high-protein breakfast had much better postprandial glucose responses, compared to those who ate a high-carb breakfast or no breakfast at all. So those people who did not eat breakfast or they ate a high-carb breakfast had much bigger spikes in their blood sugar after eating compared to those who had a high-protein breakfast. So what does this mean? Well, this means that those who do not eat breakfast or they eat high-carbohydrate breakfasts are at a higher risk of developing dangerous blood sugar spikes. And this can be problematic, especially for those who already have diabetes or who are at risk of developing diabetes. So having a consistent breakfast that is rich in protein can help to regulate your blood sugar, prevent those spikes, and help you make better food choices throughout the rest of the day. No. 4 is that eating breakfast can help you make better food choices. This ties in with the last point that we talked about. If you have a good, nutritious breakfast, you're less likely to have those blood sugar spikes that lead to cravings. So you might notice that when you skip breakfast, you come home from work and you're starving and you raid the refrigerator. Eating a consistent breakfast helps to prevent those cravings, helps to prevent those big blood sugar swings. So then, when you come home from work, you're not as tempted to eat everything in sight. So a good breakfast will keep you satisfied and energized throughout the morning, preventing cravings and enabling you to make better food choices. And if you pack your breakfast, you can avoid the temptation of going through the drive-thru in the morning. And I know that's tempting. I used to do that all the time, but that can lead to excess calories and unhealthy foods. So if you pack your breakfast, you can really customize it and make sure it fits your nutritional needs and your goals. Next, eating breakfast can help improve weight management. As I mentioned earlier, eating breakfast can improve your metabolism and help you burn more calories throughout the day. In fact, research shows that people who regularly eat breakfast have a lower body mass index, they weigh less, they have less fat mass, and they have a better waist circumference. There are a few theories as to why this happens. Like we talked about earlier, eating breakfast can help you make healthier food choices later in the day. And it can also help you avoid excess calorie intake at meals. Not eating breakfast can lead to feeling extremely hungry, which may lead to overeating at lunch or dinner. So if you find yourself super hungry in the afternoon or at night, that could be because you skipped breakfast. So eating breakfast also helps prevent overeating later in the day. There was actually a study published in the International Journal of Obesity that showed that eating breakfast reduced total daily energy intake, so the people who ate breakfast consumed less calories throughout the day compared to those who did not. The researchers believed that this may have occurred because breakfast led to an increased feeling of fullness and satisfaction, which resulted in reduced energy intake at subsequent meals. So people who ate breakfast just felt full. They didn't need to consume as many calories throughout the day, because they started their day off with a nutritious meal. Another reason to eat breakfast is that it can improve your gut health. Consuming fiber first thing in the morning can really help stimulate bowel movements and promote regularity. Fiber is a great thing to have in your breakfast. And there are two types of fibers that you want to aim for. The first is insoluble fiber. This is a rough, gritty kind of fiber that adds bulk to your stool and helps it move through your digestive tract. The second type of fiber you want to aim for is soluble fiber. Soluble fiber absorbs water and forms a gel-like substance in your gut. This also helps to move things along. Great sources of insoluble fiber include whole grains, nuts, and seeds. Good sources of soluble fiber include oats, beans, and flax seeds. Last but not least, eating breakfast can save you time and money. I know this might sound strange, but hear me out. Eating breakfast can actually save you time. Because if you skip breakfast and you're not satisfied and you're hungry an hour or two later, you're gonna end up taking a break to grab a snack. Whereas, if you sit down for a good breakfast, you're gonna stay more focused. You're gonna stay more productive, and you're gonna be able to get more work done. So rather than taking two breaks, one to grab a snack and then one for lunch, you can just have one break for a more substantial meal. Now, in terms of saving money, if you pack your breakfast, you're less likely to spend money on breakfast foods when you're hungry, when you're rushing and you don't have time to think clearly. Whereas, if you pack your breakfast, you can make a more cost-effective choice. And you'll also be less likely to go through the drive-thru, which tends to be more expensive. I hope this video was helpful and informative. If you enjoyed it, please share it with your friends. Until next time, happy breakfasting.